SnowTrax television has been brought to you by Snowmobiling in Ontario. There's no place like this.
The reason for getting together for this trip is twofold. Number one is the weather. We've been blessed in the Ottawa area to get a recent snowfall of almost 2.5 feet, and it's been just drift city, powder city. It's been awesome riding. But that snowfall also brought some snowfall into the areas north of Toronto, where Vern is coming out of, and has given us the opportunity to get a group together, actually a number of groups together, everybody riding from home, to come up here to Bancroft. We just basically threw a dart at the map on the wall, and it landed in Bancroft, and that's where we decided that we were going to all gather and meet for dinner.
Our destination of Bancroft, Ontario was more than just a lucky toss of the dart. Number one, it's about midway between everyone's hometown, with my group heading out of the Ottawa Valley, Vern, the SnowTrax sales guys group starting from Queensville, east of Toronto, and Luke, out of Minden, has the shortest distance to travel. For Doug, the camera guy, and I, our day started early in the morning back at my home in the garage. The sleds needed refueling and oils topped, along with a quick check to make sure we had things like spare belts, paperwork, and toolkits. Plus, because this trip is for real and there's no chase truck to transport our stuff, everything from clothes to camera gear needed to be stowed away safe for the ride. With everything set, we headed out to meet Harvey, our other westbound rider. But this will be the last time you see Doug on the Cat, because he'll be behind the camera for the rest of the trip. Heading our way to meet in the middle is Vern and a friend of his from their homes in Queensville, a small town just northeast of Toronto, Ontario. And like us, they had to pack everything they were going to need on their sleds for the ride. Luke is also heading to meet for dinner as well, but coming from Minden, he doesn't have as far to go. For me, this type of trip is the cool thing about the trail system in Ontario, its interconnectivity. With the one-pass permit system, the money you spend gives you access to the entire network of trails, almost 16,000 miles of it. Plus, because it's all OFSC trail, there's a consistent feel about it too, with things like signage and grooming being pretty much the same across the province, along with the mandate of keeping access open and inviting to the towns along the route. All this keeps the rider comfortable, knowing they're on a managed, developed system.
The variety of trails coming out of the GTA, the Toronto area, is pretty good. I mean, we took the main trunk trail, which is the E Trail, up to Fenland Falls. Once we got to Fenland Falls, we had all these club trails to choose from, and they just weren't busy. And we probably had some of the best riding ever going along some of these club trails. And it was, we both turned to each other towards the end of the day and said, that was just awesome. We had such a great day.
With our group, we chose to meet at one of the crossroads just north of the town of Bancroft. This was the intersection that joined up the three trails everyone had been traveling. From this point, we weren't far from the hotel, and because some of us have been riding for around 9 hours already, we wanted to make sure we took the most direct route back to town, a shower, and a dinner. The next morning, following a night's sleep that began about 15 minutes after returning from dinner, our group packed up to hit the trails. The first part of the ride out of the Bancroft Motor Inn kept the group together until the main trail intersection north of town that'll split us into our different directions home.
This trip we're on now to Bancroft is really a unique one if you think about it, because we've come from some of the far-reaching areas of Ontario and of the Ontario Trail system, from Ottawa, which is way east, and Queensville, Toronto area way south, and we've all met in the center in Bancroft just to have dinner and hang out with the boys. You know, some of us put on 300 miles to get here, others only put on 100, but we can travel from anywhere we live to one spot, hang out for a night, and then go home the next day. And it's quite a unique experience to be able to do that.
I've been lucky enough wherever I've lived in Eastern Ontario that there was a trail system nearby. Where I am now, currently in North Gore, there's a trail that runs basically right by my backyard. And to be able to be so close to a trail system is really an asset for not only somebody in my position working on a snowmobile show, but also as a rider, because if I want to go out for a ride, if it's in the evening or during the day, I really don't have to think about it. All I got to do is get my jacket on, my helmet on, fire the sled up, drive out of the garage, and I'm on the trail.
Well, being able to ride from home, it doesn't seem like you have any limitations. It's the same like with a motorcycle. You just get on the bike and you can go anywhere in Ontario that you want to go. Well, if you can leave from home by snowmobile, it's exactly the same way. You don't have to worry about your truck, parking your truck in your trailer anywhere. You don't have to worry about somebody stealing it, or you just, everything that you got with you on the trip, you have. You don't leave anything behind.
Ontario really has an asset when it comes to its interconnected trail system. And it's not just in the southern reaches of the province, it's basically across the province. And the cool thing about it is not only is there small local type trails that for me I can get on, if I just want to go for dinner, I can have a half-hour run, have a great dinner, be back at home. Or those same trails will connect to trails across the province. I can leave my backyard and ride to Hearst if I wanted to.
I believe that Ontario has a great amount of trails to offer that are able to suit a variety of needs. People are able to go on small trips. They're able to leave from their home. They're able to, just go to dinner someplace, or catch on to a main trail and head farther up north into some of these communities where there's lots of things, casinos and restaurants and gas stations and hotels and whatnot. So it doesn't have to be just a day trip or a week-long trip. It could be for weeks on end. I mean, the winter here lasts for a long time.
A couple examples of the trips I've done, I've left from Stittsville, ran up to North Bay, up to Cochrane, from Cochrane over to Hearst, back down through by Chapleau to Timmins, down back into Sudbury, and then around Algonquin Park. That was we did that in 10 days.
Usually packing up for a big ride when you're having to trailers is pretty labor intensive. I mean, let's face it, you got several hours just preparing for the ride. To be able to wake up in the morning, put your suit on, walk out to the garage, and ride out of your home, you just can't beat it. And to be able to go anywhere in Ontario makes it even sweeter.
Well, naturally, over the years, trail systems basically started out of small towns, and as the OFSC grew, those trail systems became connected to one another. So the great thing about it is that for wherever you're going, there's always another small town which is located either on a main trail or really not far off a main trail, and that gives the rider a real sense of security when they're out there, because they know that they're really never all that far from food, gas, or lodging.
The beauty of Ontario really is that it's so big, but that it's so populated by snowmobile trails. So most people in Ontario have the ability to leave from their back door and ride to any other point in Ontario by snowmobile over the course of a few days. You really can ride from southern Ontario to the most northerly part of Ontario in a couple days. So if you've got a couple saddlebags and some extra clothing, you can cover the entire province by snowmobile on groomed, marked trails right across the province. And it's a fairly unique aspect of Ontario in the snowmobiling community.